it's interesting. The owner of this car, he had a really good way of saying it. He said, you know, I just look at the sports car market now, man, and there's just nothing that interests me. And now, wow, I see why after having this. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I am in a 1992 Toyota MR2, and oh man, this is gonna be good. And this car is on full E85. It makes 707 wheel horsepower. I can turn the power up and down. Something that blew my mind with this thing is that the power level between pump gas and E85 is massive. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, I got like a 60 or 100 extra horsepower. Pump gas, this thing makes 480 wheel horsepower. And in this light of a car, still pretty nasty, right? Well, by going to the E85, you jump from 480 to 707 just because you can adjust the timing and everything way easier. So, the fun button, where is it? It's right near my knee. So all I have to do is go here and go like that, click, click, bam, all the way up. But you can go back and turn it down whenever you're just cruising, don't need it anytime else. Level 6 is like, I want to win. Let's see how 5 is. Oh, 5 is noticed is, man, it ramps up and boosts super fast, but if you don't shift into 4 fast, you drop out, and that's my fault. Seat time will improve that. Now, the SW20 came out in 1991 in America, first year. This is a 1992. Yes, it is the notorious snap oversteer version of the SW20. I can see why a lot of people didn't know how to handle the SW20 because of mid-engine, it's a manual, all that good stuff. All right. Okay, that's fast. Little toot. So, the cool thing about the MR2s is that when you put like a Toyo 888 on these things, all of those worries that people have are gone while in the dry. This thing is like a fire-spitting crazy monster. It was built by ATS down in Texas. Basically, if you wanted to just work, you basically take your SW20, you send it down to them in Texas. They do everything. They build the motor, they take this motor, make it bulletproof, put a big giant turbocharger on it, and then you have all the fun you want. We're also on an ECU Master standalone ECU, so the standalone gives you all the good options to basically do whatever you want. But one of my favorite things is that I have an ECU Master dash, so I have the lights all across the top when the fun moment is happening to shift at the right time. Because this thing kicks in and rips so hard that when you get up top, you don't really even have time to look down at your gauge. So you just have a light to blind you to let you know when it's time to do it. All right, I turned the fun knob to 6 because YOLO. Just scared an entire population. My eye is watering from how much wind came into the cabin on one of those pulls. So don't worry. If it's a tear of joy because I'm having a fantastic time. So as I'm doing that level 6 pull, it's just wide open. Thankfully I'm on concrete, so that helps, right? Here's another thing though. It's a T-top. So basically a glass roof, just with the T in the middle. you can just see the trees flying by in this glass box. So you guys might remember last year I did my buddy Andy's car, and that car had a very similar setup in it. So this is a Gen 5 5S GTE motor. These motors are a mouthful, so it's a little hard to remember sometimes, but the way I broke it down today was that, think about 2JZ. There's two variations of the 2JZ. There's the GE and the GTE, and there's also the VVTi, but you know what I mean. The GTE is the turbo one. The 3S GTE is the turbo one. That's how you remember it. And they're very interesting because you put the intercooler and everything and the radiator setup in the back because you don't have anywhere else to go. So you take the motor here, the piping goes through the trunk, and then you see all the air-to-air setup. The last MR2 I drove was air-to-water setup, so that's a little bit of a difference. Air-to-water, theoretically, is supposed to be the best way to cool a race car, but with the air-to-air, it makes it a little more livable, but this turbocharger is also a different size, so it spools up even faster. With Andy's, it was like, okay, we're going. This is 3,800 RPM, you're ripping and tearing. Like, you have no time to get ready for it. I'm just glad I've driven one of these before, or it would have really unsettled me at first in a good way. I'm not scared per se, we just have to be mentally smart. But the MR2 has so much grip that it literally feels like it's all-wheel drive. Are spinning in an MR2, for God's sake, just let off and reset. Don't try to stay in it, because that's when you're starting to do this. You know, the seating position of the MR2, the SW20, is so perfect. You feel like you're in a true enthusiast driver's car because you can't see the hood, so it's all glass. The visibility in the MR2 is literally perfect for a two-seater driver's car. Oh God! Dude, the anti-lag is so efficient. Holy smokes! Out of room. Dude, the third gear roll-on in this thing is so butter. It gives you that little tingle of fear, but not in a bad way. It's like, oh, I like this, and then you just keep going. This sounds like almost no other four-cylinder. It has that 2JZ smoothness to it. It's like they took the 2JZ and they cut 2 cylinders off of it. That's kind of an easier way to put it. Also, the other MR2, V6 Mustang, why you gotta be that way? Also, the other MR2 had drag slicks in the back with skinnies up front. So theoretically, if I wanted to go around corners in this thing, I could. I wouldn't advise it with all this power, but the other one, you had to go in a straight line. It's interesting, the owner of this car, he had a really good way of saying it. He said, you know, I just look at the sports car market now, man, and there's just nothing that interests me. And now, wow, I see why after having this. For what this is, yeah, it's everything I would ever want out of an import car. It's raw, it's visceral, it's a 90s JDM car. It's got pop-ups, checks all the boxes. It's freaking, it's a missile. Like, I'm speechless. I'm like, when I learned that I was gonna get to drive another one of these, do the hospitality of the owner, like, man, it's such a pleasure driving these because, you know, you drive new cars nowadays, our auto transmissions and everything, great. Now, yes, Porsche PDK, can't beat it. This transmission is bone stock, and I thought it was a built transmission, and these things are theoretically good for 850 horsepower. They do not make trans like these anymore, man. In the 90s, Japanese cars were so over-engineered that when something did break, it was really surprising. I mean, think about the V160 and the Supra. It's the same exact way. Now you have to pay $5 grand for one of those. It's probably the same way with these. This 5-speed is good gearing. It's a freight train. So even if somebody was pulling on you at the beginning, you're gonna reel them in. That's what's gonna happen. I gotta ask, what do you guys think about a built stock motor, built stock motor that came with the car, MR2 with a big turbo on it? Honestly, in my opinion, it's one of the most fun Japanese 90s cars in the world with this setup on it. I mean, I can just hit this button whenever I want. And that's all she wrote. I've had an amazing time. I've gotten a beautiful whiff of V85. I've had a great day. It didn't rain too much on Toyo 888s. That's saying something. And on that note, I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And I will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye. This video is brought to you by Patterson Car Care. Get double of premium original detail product for half the price. Head over to PattersonCarCare.com or go to the link in the description below.